So I took a quick look at my picture where I could really look at it instead of glancing over and coming back. And this portion is a little wider. It comes down over here. So I'm going to do that. Now remember, you don't have to be exact like you're drawing, but if there's a piece that's bugging you and you want to, make it more like your reference piece, then do so. Just go in and do it. There we have it. Now I'm looking at these feathers here on his body. Now, remember, you could just have it solid. You don't have to do all these little steps, but I'm trying to put in some texture, interest, what have you. And it shows on my photo, it's like little scallops that are overlapping. So I'm going to do something similar. I've got the Prussian blue. This is the number 12 flat. Maybe I should do the 10. And I'm dipping just the corner in the black. So I have a bit of black with the Prussian blue. And then, looking closely, it's just little U strokes. Little U strokes. And I should have started at the bottom. Silly me. Little U strokes. And then the black will show up. Just overlap them. No sense in being perfect. My hand in the way. It's so dark, it's hard to see on here. But when it dries, you'll be able to see, just like you can see the differentiation there, you'll be able to see those layers. And if you don't, then it's just a pretty element. Like I said, a lot of times I feel my way through a painting. There's no one way to do them. So, wanted some depth of color into that wing. And it comes down, I've got it, and I'm just doing those same little scoop U strokes no, that's not upside down. It is just a U stroke right there. It could have been smaller. Are you still with me? We're doing good. Now we'll go back over and do a little bit here because we're going to go over that and bring up or deepen that color. And we can do that right now. Play it around. You do not have to use the exact same colors I do. Get a feel for what you want your rooster to look like. So, there is no rhyme or reason. There's just you painting and enjoying the creative process. Now, I'm going upwards. You could also do it downwards, the stroke. So if I wanted to do it like this, that is perfectly acceptable. So that is all good. This is very coppery here. It's kind of like this color here. So, raw sienna, yellow ochre. I'm looking like I'm going to have to get some yellow ochre out. And my paints are getting a little tacky. The feathers on this one are more rounded and not a little more coppery. So I'm going to put some red in with that. And then the ones coming down over, let me see, this one's real coppery. The black's really showing through, so I may need to go over that a couple times. or just accept it the way it is. There's that option too. Now when I'm going over this lower one, I want to add a little more yellow. Get a little orange on that. My orange is really drying up. Yeah, that orange really does add that copper color I'm looking for. Now it's starting to lift the paint, so I need to give it a rest and let it dry some more before I do more, because it's starting to lift it. So I'll let that dry, and then I'll come in with a little bit lighter yellow. So I'm going to go over this one more time. Layers and layers of color. So I'm loaded with yellow ochre and raw sienna, and I'm just going back over that, and I'm leading with the yellow ochre, following with the raw sienna. And if I want to get a little spark, make it a little more coppery, I'd pick up some orange. There we go. And now I'm going to get some more yellow ochre out. Let me see where it's at. Okay, right here. I'm pretty much out. I should say this bottle's pretty much empty. I need to get a new bottle. I got enough. But I am going to get some more school bus yellow out because I'm going to lighten this neck up on the other side. So let's get going with, I'm going to go keep using some of the raw sienna, and I'm going to dip the yellow ochre side. Well, maybe I won't. Maybe I will just go yellow ochre and raw and school bus yellow. There's still enough raw sienna on there. Now you could be a little more careful than I am. I don't mind cleaning up my messes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with straight school bus yellow. Put in some very bright yellow. And I should be building, like going up, not just going willy-nilly, but I have a tendency to get carried away. So there is his neck feathers. And I'm noticing that over here, there's a touch of white with the yellow. So I'm going to put some white moon yellow, and I'm just going to pull in some little feathers with a hint of white. And the same with right here. Okay, go in the cardinal red, clean up right here where his neck feathers came over. And I'm going to be real careful with the white so I don't make it pink, because I'm going to go over his earlobe. And I'm dragging yellow in, but it's not the end of the world. Gives it a bit of texture there. Okay, we're heading for the tricky part, and that is his eye. I'm getting a tiny bit of white on the corner of my brush, and I'm going to put it in here, just here and here. And I need a good liner brush. So I'm going to get my liner brush, and we are going to attempt to do his eyeball. So what I have here is the number 10 flat, and the butt end right here. I dipped it into my paint and I created a dot, and that's about the size I want. So I'm going to be very careful, and I'm going to put it in the middle of the yellow ochre round dot. And right there is that part. Wipe off your brush. I have a script liner, and I made some inky paint. Now, I am terrible with these things, but I'm just going to show you how I do it. You're going to make a half circle line around the back side of his eye. Go right through that white, and it's not going down in there. Oh, probably the white diluted it. Now that was too much. So I'm going to pull it up. I'm showing you how I fudged through it because I'm terrible and I didn't want you to feel like you were the only one. And plus I'm trying to do this at a distance so I don't get my head in it in the camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some red, go over that, where I fudged that up, and try again to line just around the outside of his eye. The paint pens, if you have a real narrow tip, to me I have more control with a paint pen, and you want to just use the tip and go around his eye like that. And I'm trying to look at his eye. Now this is the red here is just, the white is just a little too stark. So I'm going to pull that up with the red. And there it's brighter right there, so it kind of gives you an idea of his eye without being so stark. And if you need to, go in and restate the yellow ochre. Just be careful you don't drag any black into it. So that's basically his eye. I'm going to make this a little more elliptical. There. Instead of so round. Okay, so we've got that part. Now in my picture, in his tail feathers, there's actually a narrow yellow line that actually outlines a portion of his tail. Just drag it. It doesn't have to be completely opaque. You see how it's, excuse me, put my arm in that. You see how it's skittering along the surface? That's fine. So I'm going to get some paint that's watered down, pull my brush through it, bring it to a tip, and then right through the center of this is a bit of a line. And the same with this. Next one. And then this one has a line right through the middle of it. Those details are optional if you're fine without those, but sometimes it just adds a little touch, a little hint of something. Right here, there's a little bit of a highlight in my photo, and I'm just getting licorice, touch of white to make it gray, and I'm just going to pull that highlight right there on that portion of the wing. Give it a little dimension. And I think we have it. We could add a little bit of dimension to his wattle on the base. So I'm getting the red and just the tiniest hint of black. You could do this with a brown, etc. Work it out so it's not too stark, and just bring a touch of shadow at the base of his wattle. There we go. And maybe we want to touch a highlight on the other side. So I'm loading with cardinal, just a touch of yellow. That was just a touch too much. But we'll just bring that highlight over there, highlight there. Okay, we have a bright, colorful rooster. Now, again, totally optional. I kind of liked my little hints of aqua on my other. It was a little more than a hint, but on him, I am going to bring it in just because I think it's so pretty. So I'm just going to bring in a streak here, streak there. Just brings in a spark of color. I'm not keeping a chisel edge, so I need to wipe that out. Try that again. Much better. Yes, I am liking that. We have a very colorful rooster. I'm just blending those in at the top. Alrighty, there we have it now. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to keep messing with it, etc., because it's good. It's all good. And I hope you enjoyed painting the rooster. I am going to varnish it. I guess I could show you once this is completely dry. I'm going to let it dry for several hours. Now down here, it's optional. You could put straw, you can put fruit, you can put, I don't know what else. What else would you want? Grass. In fact, let's go ahead and let's put some grass. And we'll make him standing in a field of grass. Just so I've helped you finish this painting completely and not left you hanging. Thicket is one of my favorite greens. Oh, let's see. That I use a lot of, so you should have it on hand if you've done any of my tutorials. I also do like citrus green, but I don't know if that's just a little too bright or not. So let's get the colors together and then we'll paint some grass. Okay, let's go ahead and finish him up with some grass, just to give him something to stand in. Some green grass. We're going to start with some dark green first in the background. I was looking for my sap green. This is Thicket. I was looking for my sap green, which I'm really liking that green now, and I couldn't find it. Goes to show you how disorganized I am right now in my studio. Life's been crazy. But we're going to just put in some thick blades of grass. This is going to be kind of in the background to the other, and just willy-nilly different directions. And it's real thick where his legs are, so he's really in this tall grass. I'm just on the chisel edge of my brush and just pulling them up. Some are wider, and it's just more pressure. Some are lighter. Narrower, I should say, not lighter in color, but just, you can even overlap him somewhat. Some will go straight. You don't want them all the same length, just vary the length, the width, crisscross over each other, obscure his legs where it's going. And that's the background grass. Now add classic green and lead with the thicket, follow with the classic green. So you're getting two colors in there. And you can turn your brush and lead with the thicket too, if you wish. This is your grassy meadow. And then when you want to lighten it up, just go ahead and dip into the citrus. Lead with the classic. No, follow with the classic, sorry. And that gives you some lighter grass. Then you can wipe out your brush. I just wiped my brush out. And just go into the citrus and just bring in some real bright strands here and there. Highlight a strand up there. Then bring one across. You don't want it all go in the same direction. Give it interest. Make sure it's connected at the bottom, or go over it. Give it some brushes. Vary it. Go back into the thicket. And there you have it. Now your rooster is standing in grass. You can go to my poppy tutorial. You could go to any of my flower tutorials, daisies, etc., and put those in there if you want to. He's your rooster. So I hope you enjoyed this series on painting a rooster in 10, 20, or 30 minutes or less. Go ahead and send me some ideas of what you would like to see next on painting in 10, 20, 30 minutes or less.